So at a high level, what exactly does your company do?
We have an AI companion platform that is designed for people with memory loss, particularly with dementias, and also for their families and caregivers. Pull out information using AI to give caregivers feedback from conversations. We're making a kind of AI loop where the AI is talking to the person with memory loss and then the AI is informing the family and caregivers. So we are looking at AI as a means to an end, and our end is really to make people who are struggling with a dementia or a memory loss feel the human in the room even when the human can't be there.
You have these instructions that you give AI voices about what to do in each of these situations.
Our prompt has included in it some of the most important pieces of information having to do with safety. If I were to say, I'm going to go take some medicine right now, the AI is going to say, oh, no, we'll talk to someone about that.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have Heidi Krauth. She is the CEO of Audria. Welcome to the podcast, Heidi.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
Great. So at a high level, what exactly does your company do?
At a high level, we have an AI companion platform that is designed for people with memory loss, particularly with dementias, and also for their families and caregivers at a very high level.
Cool. Yeah. And who exactly is this built for?
It is built for both people who have memory loss as well as for their families and caregivers. If you want me to explain more, I can. It has two components. One component is an AI companion that specifically takes what look like incoming and outgoing calls, but it's software, not telephony. And the other piece is a big platform where we store all of the information about the family, about the person with dementia. We pull out information using AI to give caregivers feedback from conversations. We store transcripts for the full conversations, and we're making a kind of AI loop where the AI is talking to the person with memory loss, and then the AI is informing the family and caregivers. We also have lots of tools to make it possible for families to stay engaged more easily. I mean, because families, I don't know if you know, get very it's hard to stay engaged, especially when you have someone who's asking you the same questions over and over again. And we've heard many nightmare stories about families who end up blocking their loved ones. And so we're trying to make it more sustainable and familiar and friendly for the people, who have memory loss, but also for their families.
I remember previously you'd mentioned this story about why you initially started it. Could you give us that story?
Sure. I have been working in tech startups for my entire career, and I'd been working in a fintech startup. Quit doing that. I was playing around with AI, trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And I really wanted to do something that was more meaningful than some of the things I've done in the past. I've done a lot of fun things and things that are meaningful, but I wanted to do something more that felt more important in the world. We had lots of friends and family who have had dementia and passed from dementia, and I've had friends who've struggled with caring for their family members who have dementia. My closest friend, who I've known forever, put her mother into a memory care facility. Her mother was in one of the top areas of aggravation where she would get kind of violent when she got aggravated. So they put her in the facility. She hit someone, and the response from the memory care facility, and this was shocking to me at the time, was that they called the police. And then they essentially medicated her into oblivion. So I was talking to my friend and I said, what can we do? They have things like baby dolls and they have plants and they have other things. And she said, I don't know. What my mom would like the most is just to get on the phone and complain to her sister all day, every day. And I was like, well, that's kind of an interesting idea. We could do something with that. And so that was about 1.5 years ago. And so we've developed the company from that place. I found my co-founder. His mother has dementia and worked in the field for her entire career. He has a big family, so that's been helping to inform our platform. But in any case, that was initial impetus for the company.
How'd you meet that co-founder?
We've been friends and have worked at a previous company together. We did a travel company called Home and Abroad. We actually met through a very close family friend of mine, so we've probably been friends for 20 years. But he and I were up at a party in the mountains, and he was like, "What are you doing these days, Heidi?" And I said, "Oh, right, hi. This is what I'm doing." And he said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so on board with this. This is very personal to me, and also something that he had been exploring in terms of technology, in terms of AI, because we'd worked together, a pretty natural fit, and so that's how that started."
What does technology should make aging more human look like for you? What does that mean?
So we are looking at AI as a means to an end, and our end is really to make people who are struggling with a dementia and memory loss feel the human in the room even when the human can't be there. And so we're trying to make our AI both, we don't want to replace humans, we want to supplement human care so that we can extend human care in ways. So people right now, caregivers and family members are very, very burnt out and they need some help. We don't want to just throw someone in front of a TV. We don't want to put someone in front of an AI companion that doesn't know them. We want to put someone in front of an AI companion that knows them, is learning from them, and create ways for the family to engage with that AI. So family members can share videos, they can share memories. We're using something called reminiscent therapy, which is a therapy for people with memory loss that is used to ask questions in the way that people with memory loss respond positively and where it feels really human. It keeps coming back to that safety space of memory, of familiarity. It's the reason that we feel strongly that, and we're just starting to beta test, we feel very strongly that using family voices and eventually faces is going to be very positive, because almost everyone who gets dementia exhibits anxiety, very, very large levels of anxiety. And it has been shown that if you introduce familiarity into the room, you introduce humanness into the room, that they can calm down some. So when we're using AI, we are providing it with lots and lots of information and many guardrails so that it also knows how to talk to the person who has memory loss. We have over 35 pages worth of instructions or rules about how that AI is allowed to do things, and we have the best practices for how it should most humanly be able to interact with the person with memory loss.
Interesting. So in this case where you have this AI system that it brings in some more of the humanness, do the dementia patients ever feel like maybe this isn't quite human enough and that causes anxiety, or do you generally help soothe their anxiety a lot?
So the answer to that is I don't know. The answer is, so far we feel and we have seen that people really like to talk to our AI, that they enjoy the fact that it knows that they're a history buff, or they enjoy the fact that if they say, "I don't remember who my family members are," that it can come back and say, "Oh, your wife's name is Margaret, and you have a daughter named Anna, and you have a son named Robert." So far, it seems that they really enjoy that. We have a lot of testing to do still to see how the actual family voices work. Our belief is, based on all of the studies that are out there around when people with dementia start losing their memory, the older memories and the memories that are more familiar stay with them more readily. And so if they're having a familiar voice, that's very much like a familiar memory. And so we believe that it is going to be very soothing. We know for a fact from studies that having the familiar voice in the room absolutely helps people feel less anxious. And we're even playing around with creating some devices that would monitor if someone starts to get anxious, and if someone starts to get anxious, automatically have a quote unquote call come in from either Audria, who's our default companion, or from one of the familiar voices. So we do have a companion for people who don't want to touch this, because some people are like, that's creepy, and we're not. Whose name is Audria, and she's on everyone's sort of interface. So everyone can talk to Audria. She's lovely. Everyone wants to talk to Audria. I do talks to people, and some of these young kids are like, "Well, could we talk to Audria?" in there. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. How do you explain it to these dementia patients? Do you just say, here, talk to this person? Do you say, oh, this is an AI?
Yes, so we are not trying to fool anyone, and we have a variety of different models. Our ideal model is that we have a family that is engaged, and the family is helping with this. The family, and we will eventually build into broader stages of dementia. At the moment, where our sweet spot is in early stage dementia, where people are still aware enough and able to press a button and things like that. But the way that it's introduced is we set it all up. We give them an interface. We've built the interface where they can click on a button anytime they want, and they can talk to whoever is on that interface. We will have a secondary way that families can schedule calls. One of the things that we're very keen about were doing things like being able to have a recurring phone call where they could remind their loved one to have a glass of water 3 times a day. Or being able to take a quick video, and then we have Audria does an auto intro. Here's a video from your daughter Heidi of her son Soren playing at the beach. She wanted to share it with you today. Then you see the video, and then you exit. So we're trying to use these things that are full of nice memories for the person with dementia. We feel very strongly that we are not trying to fool anyone. Our AI built into the AI is the knowledge that the AI is not whoever the voice is. So if the person who has memory loss says, "Are you Heidi?" the AI is going to say, "No, I'm not Heidi. I'm an AI companion who has information about your family with Heidi's voice. We hope you enjoy talking to me." And I'll tell you a really interesting little story. We went to a place in Denver which it was affordable senior living facility in Denver, and we did a little presentation, and we thought we were going to be doing a presentation for their activity director plus these people who were living in the community. Instead, the facility director couldn't come, and so we had this very unwieldy group of people we weren't exactly expecting, many of them who probably would be diagnosed as having somewhat, fairly certain memory loss, but we were talking to them about all kinds of things, and one of the things we brought up was this concept, which some people find a little icky, which is, we're using people's family members' voices. And they got so crazily enthusiastic about it. They were like, "I'd love to talk to the voice of my granddaughter," or "I'd really like to talk to the voice of my mom," across the board, and even to the extent that one of the people is very heartbreaking, said, "Well, would there be a way that we could just get the voice of my wife who passed, and could I talk to her over a Christmas dinner?" Which brings up all sorts of ethical issues, and we're not going that direction at the moment. But it was pretty universal in this room full of people who were kind of all over the map in terms of what they wanted to do.
Yeah. With those ethical issues, what exactly do you mean there?
Who owns someone's voice after they've passed? There are all kinds of questions about, obviously we don't want to fool someone with a voice. As the technology gets better and better, and someone could reproduce my voice and pretend to be me, that's very problematic. What we're trying to do is something very different, which is use these voices that the family wants to share with their loved ones as a way to, to soothe and connect with the person with memory loss. But certainly, as we see all over the place, there are lots of celebrities selling things that don't quite look like the people who are selling them, and it's definitely an area that's ready for people to do corrupt things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. So, is your approach then that any voice that you add, you have to get their explicit permission, and then do they record something? Or how does that work?
Yep, within the platform, we're leaving this to the family members, whether or not they want to record the voice. We aren't sharing the voice, except for we have a concept called a care circle. The care circle is everyone, all of the loved ones who want to join, the platform, who are caring for a single person, a senior with some memory loss or a person with dementia. Within the care circle, they have the option to customize the interface, the sort of phone-like interface. It can be run on a phone, on a tablet, on a computer. So it's device agnostic, and it is not, again, using telephony. But they can go into the portal. They can put in lots of information about themselves. They can share some memories, the family memories, personal memories. But in addition to that, we have a feature where you can go into a part. You can put in your name. I can go, it's Heidi. I say I want to record my voice. We have a script that we've created that uses all of the good words that will make my voice cloned most readily. It's literally 30 seconds to read. They read the 30-second script, they click save, and it is immediately paired with the interface on the device for the person with dementia.
Okay, interesting. So any person who wants to use their voice, give their voice for this, they have to go into this interface and they have to record the 30-second audio.
Yes, and we're doing that we're trying to we are keeping things private. So within a care circle, everything is kept within the care circle. We're not letting voices, like I couldn't record a voice in someone else's care circle. I could record a voice in a care circle that belonged to my family. But if a family member wanted to give permission to a friend to come in and, record a voice within their care circle, they could do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we're doing it at the moment, our max is 5. So we have Audria plus 4 more. And part of that just has to do with, the size of a phone really, which is the default. But you can go in, you can say, it's really, this person really is not responding well to talking to, her son. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to put in the grandson and see if that's more fun and if that's more enjoyable. And we are using analytics to evaluate how positive and happy the conversations are. We're trying to figure out what time of day the conversations are best. And so we're using as much as we can in terms of analysis to figure out how to make the best conversation and make the person happy. Our goals are reduce anxiety, increase happiness, reduce loneliness, obviously, because everyone's, as I'm sure you've heard, 40 to 60% more likely that you are going to get dementia if you're lonely, and it also should slow the progress of dementia some if you are less lonely. And we want to give caregivers and family members some peace of mind and time back.
Okay. And going back to the ethical issue of using someone's voice without their permission, do you foresee an ethical issue of using someone's voice who is within their care circle? Because I see a big distinction between using like a celebrity's voice versus using someone who would be within their care circle.
So I don't see an ethical issue with using someone in a family's voice within a care circle. They've decided that they want to do this. They're trying it out. It is their voice. We are absolutely very, very clear that our AI is not pretending to be the person, and if it's asked, it will say, I am not. So it really is something that is being used because familiarity is so important for people who are experiencing memory loss. And also, if you can get the family in the room, if you can engage the family in different ways, it's really good for everyone.
Yeah. But then specifically talking about someone within the care circle who passed previously, and now they're not alive to give their permission. Now you're coming in with this new thing, but they're still within the care circle, like, for example, someone's late wife or late husband.
Yeah, so that is an ethical issue, and that's not one that we have figured out yet. When I'm hearing this guy who's 94 and, the nicest person ever and really very lucid, and he says, I just want to have a Christmas dinner talking to the voice of my wife.
Yeah.
Every part of my heart wants to go, okay, well, let's just get her voice and let's put it in there for you. But we just can't do that.
Yeah,
it's just not ethically something. He doesn't have the right to her voice, unfortunately. I suppose that if we were going to, I know that people are doing all kinds of interesting and unusual things. With, I know there was a big story about the guy who testified after I think he was murdered. His voice testified. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
So there are definitely. But we're not going there at the moment. And if we did want to go there, we would only go there if someone were, explicitly maybe was sick and said, you know what, I just still want my husband to be able to talk to my voice even after I'm gone. And then we sign a disclaimer and all of that. And then it would feel ethical, but that's not where we're going.
Yeah, that's a line in the sand that you don't want to do business this way.
Yeah, well, I would like to for the guy who's 94, but no, we're not going to. So yeah, it's.
I see.
Yeah.
So if you do, for example, if someone in the care circle is someone who is older and then that person passes, then what happens? Do they have to be removed from the care circle and from the voice?
So that's a very good question. We have not crossed that path yet. I mean, I don't believe that we would remove them from the care circle because the information about who they are is still valid. So if my husband passed and he were in my care circle, we would probably update that he was, not alive, but all of the information and all the memories and all of the things that are still powerful for me would still be relevant. Now, in terms of the voice, we'd probably remove it. I mean, unless we had gotten explicit instructions that my husband said, oh, we definitely keep using my voice, we would remove it.
Yeah. I wonder if that becomes like a checkbox that you do when you're initially doing the voice, where you give approval that, if I passed, unfortunately, I would still either want them to be in the care circle or not.
It's possible. Yeah. I mean, I worry still about things like that because it's so easy to click in a box and not know what you've done. I think we would want to be we need to think that through more. We also need, we're still testing. As I said, we're beta testing right now, and so we're going to learn a whole lot. I mean, that would be the way that one would approach it, is you just be like, okay, we're going to use your voice from here to eternity, and you don't care within this care circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are, and I can see how some people, like the guy we were talking about, would love to have that happen, but I've talked to people, friends, who just say, this is my voice, and no way would my daughter be able to talk to my voice after I pass. Absolutely not. I don't care. No.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty loaded issue for people.
Yeah. It could also, like, if someone died and they were in their care circle and then now you have to remove it, that could put even more pressure on someone who's going through dementia as well, right?
It could. Yep. Absolutely. That is a good point. I mean, one of the bigger issues is that there's a likelihood, depending upon, where someone is in their journey with dementia, that they may not even remember moment to moment that the person has passed.
Yeah, exactly. Is there a point where, maybe someone is they're at a point where they can't remember these types of things. So then if you had your AI voice that kind of answered over and over, like 12 times a day, that, oh, this person has died, then that could make them feel sad 12 times a day because it's like they just got the news for the first time?
No, because that would go against the best practices for talking to someone who has memory loss, as you don't want to, come right to someone and say, what you're thinking is not true. That would not be the way that the AI would approach someone. If they were saying, oh, where they would probably, deflect, move to a more gentle topic. It would not be saying, no, they're dead. You got it wrong. They're dead. It wouldn't be that.
Yeah. So then is it better to just not just steer the topic away, or would it be better in certain cases to just go with what they think and then just have a conversation as if they were alive?
In some instances, yes, it would be better to just go with what someone thinks. I mean, there are definitely suggestions that if someone says, oh, I'm about to go participate in a tango contest and I'm sure I'm going to win, that the AI would be like, oh, that's fantastic. It's so great that you're going to win this tango contest. In the same realm, if I were to say, oh, I'm going to go out to dinner with my husband who might be dead tonight, it would be the best practice in that instance to say, oh, that sounds lovely, and continue in that vein. If I were getting super anxious and upset and I were saying, I just don't know, then it's better to deflect. And I'm not the expert. We did lots of research and we pulled lots of documents from Alzheimer's Association and all of the top research organizations, and there's lots and lots of information about best practices. But I am not, this is not my area of expertise.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you have it then? You have these instructions that you give Audria and these other AI voices about what to do in each of these situations?
Yes. So we have multiple levels of things, and we have a prompt. Our prompt has included in it some of the most important pieces of information about the family, some of the most important pieces of information having to do with safety. So, for example, if the AI were to say, if I were to say, I'm going to go take some medicine right now, the AI is going to say, oh, no, we'll talk to someone about that. We're not going to suggest that. Or I'm going to go out on a walk. The AI is going to say, So that's at the highest level. Then beneath that, we have a knowledge base, and the knowledge base has lots and lots of details about how one should be communicated with, not at the danger level, but at the level of this is our best practice. This is what you should do. And in that knowledge base, we also have not funny things, but things like don't talk baby talk to people who are older, and use contractions to make it sound like dialogue, and don't overuse a person's name. And so we're using all of those pieces in different ways to make sure that the AI is doing things in a way that is safe and good for the person with dementia. We're also have been using Dementia Bank, which is a database full of conversations, and our analytics guy has been creating a baseline scorecard so that we can compare conversations that are being held with psychologists within Dementia Bank and people who have dementia and families, and see if at a base our AI is doing a good job, and then measure up from there. And we're doing lots of tests to try and break the AI by using common speech patterns and common speech patterns and common things that people with memory loss say and do, to see if we can get our AI to break, and also to figure out which AI is going to respond most effectively. And we keep going again because they change over and over.
Every time you get a new model, the behavior is different.
Yes, to some degree. I mean, so for example, when ChatGPT first went to 5 from 4.
The 4.0 to 5?
Yep. 4.0 was way better than 5 because it would speak quickly, it would respond well, and 5, if you jumped right to 5, was slow and clunky. Yeah. And there are lots of examples like that. Right now, I think we're using Gemini 2.5 Lite or Flash, but we're also looking at Claude Haiku. It's a constant exercise to see which AI is going to do the best with the information that we're giving it. But our results are pretty good. Yeah. I mean, they're high. Our AI is responsive and good and not hallucinating and staying in a safe area for people. And occasionally it makes, a weird mistake. But we're working on those.
Yeah. Do you have a tracking system where you monitor these conversations, and every time you see an edge case, you try to learn from it and then improve the system?
Yes. And it is always still work in progress, but we keep transcripts of all conversations and summaries of all conversations, and we're using the AI to pull out anything that is like a repetition, and we're also analyzing those. And as soon as we find something that's really weird, we change it. So, for example, I had gotten rid of the I'm going to repeat your name a million times in our AI because it kept doing it. The AI kept thinking somehow, based on the knowledge base we gave it, that it was going to make someone feel more settled if it kept using their name. But it did not have that effect. It ended up being pretty annoying. If I were to say, Luke, Luke, it got very, very, very annoying. So we took it out, but somehow it came back. And so, our programmer is, as we speak, going to kick it out again. Now, in later stages of dementia, it may make sense to bring that back in, But, in later stages of dementia, which we haven't gotten there yet, we're probably going to have the conversations probably going to be more one-sided. It's going to slow down a whole lot and not be as speedy as it is for people who are over here. And we have been testing this with people who have early onset dementia. And so I've demoed it, and we currently, in our beta test, if I can do a shout out, we have a guy named Michael Booth who has early onset dementia. He lives in Hartlepool, England, and he has just written a mystery. He's the first person with dementia to have written and published a mystery, and he's doing beta testing for us. He's a fantastic guy and a person who shows, what we feel, which is, we're Audria, I hear you, and we believe that somewhere, there's some accessibility there to people, even if they have memory loss, and we want to be able to hear them. But he's quite, I think his progression is fairly slow, but still, to write a mystery with dementia is amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but we are testing with, we, co-founder and I are both product owner type of people, and so we believe in doing all the right research, talking to all the right people. We don't want to build something, hear all those funny stories about how, I think it was in senior living facilities, they decided to put in waterfalls because they thought they were so pretty, but it aggravated people a whole lot because it was the sound and things, especially with people with memory loss, and they just didn't do their homework and test it with the people that they were building for. Well, we're not those people. We're testing with the people we're building for and making sure that it works for them.
Going back to the part where you were talking about how you can bring up a memory, do you keep track of like, okay, yeah, this memory is making this person happy. We should give that memory to them once a day or once a week to kind of remind them of it?
Well, we will get there. At the moment, we're not there. Like I said, we're still in early stages of beta testing, but the idea is that we are absolutely, in answer to your question, 100% what we're doing is we're taking, for one thing, we're keeping a history of the conversations because we don't want the person every time they come to talk to Audria or to a voice of their family to say, oh, we had a conversation about such, and for the AI to go, who are you and what are you again? I have to start all over. And so part of the memories is keeping things that way. But we are trying to learn as much as we can from each conversation and to make the next conversation better for the person that we're talking to. Best time of day to talk to them, comforting voice, how fast the voice should be, all of those types of things. Down to, we use this example of, if we find out that and it's a way to keep the family engaged, that's easier. They can go, oh, my mom is obsessed with a dog named Bob and doesn't understand where to get food and really wants to understand about my sister's remodel of her office. And these are things that keep coming up. So I'm going to respond either in person or I'm going to send an incoming message to my mom and say, hey, the dog named Bob is fine. Or I'm going to call, if they're not living with me, the memory care facility, and I'm going to say, hey, my mom's having a really hard time knowing where to get food, so we're trying to improve care too with all of the information we're getting from the AI.
Interesting. So so then you have these conversations and then you need to do you process them as well so that because maybe some of the conversations are going to be repeated over and over. So you'll just take the most important insights and then have that in a separate document that's a living document?
It's all part of the portal and our database. And so so I'm not sure what you mean by a document, except we are only, like if the memory is dog named Bob, dog named Bob, dog named Bob. In the place that we're recording memories, we'll have dog named Bob listed once. In the portal where we're showing insights, we'll say, she seems very obsessed with this dog named Bob. So we'll pull it up here, but we won't repeat it within our space of memory. And then we will make recommendations, but we're not there yet. We're still building it all out. And at the base, the most important thing that we want to get right is obviously the companion, and we want that companion to do all the things we'd like it to do and to talk to someone and for it to feel valuable to the person who has memory loss and really hopefully very enjoyable and make them feel, like like it's familiar and et cetera. But we are using reminiscent therapy to, because we have been talking to so many families who have loved ones who are getting dementia and they're starting to forget things. They say, some families say, oh, we waited too long to ask, our parent about X, and we really feel bad. We would have liked to because we wanted to hear that story, and now it's too late. And so we have a built-in the 30 or 35 questions that are part of reminiscence/validation therapy that someone can send to their loved one, and they're asked in just the right way, and then we record those both as an audio file and also as a transcript for the family. Eventually, we'll also have a way for a person to just click a button and record a video of themselves talking about something if they want to talk about something, because there's also an awareness from a lot of people that they want to share things with their family members as they're feeling a decline.
And if they recorded the video, would it be something where the AI companion would bring it up like, oh, here's this video that this person sent?
The video would be of the person who has memory loss.
Okay.
So that would be actually something that's saved inside the portal that would be for posterity. We do have a separate feature, which is the one that I was talking about before, which is that if I upload a video, Audria will do an automatic intro. The AI will analyze what's in the video and say, oh, I have a video of Luke and Heidi talking about Audria. So watch this video. And then after the person hears the intro and watches the video, Audria will come back and say, Heidi just wanted to make sure that you got to see this moment in time, and she'll be in touch with you again. So we do have ways that we're sharing video specifically. And those are, we have calls. The person can click a button anytime and talk to Audria or the person, but then we have a scheduling capability, which is who you want to have, quote unquote, make the call. Is it Audria? Is it Heidi? Is it Fred? Is it, Junior? I don't know. What time do you want the call to come in? Is it a single call? Is it a recurring call? Or is it hey, this is an emergency type of call? So for example, in the example that I gave at the very beginning, where my friend's mom got so agitated, if someone had the ability to click a button and there was suddenly an incoming call coming in, the hope would be that the person would go, oh, there's a call from, from Audria. We should answer that. And that instead of things escalating, we would bring everything down, and there would be a way for the person to have a conversation instead of hitting someone and end up being, over-medicated. And we've talked to people who run memory care facilities, and they're like, hey, if you could have that automatically happen, that would be huge for our facility community, because it takes a lot to take care of someone who is in a state of, of high anxiety and anger.
Okay.
And medicating people is a pretty common practice, and I'm not suggesting it's a necessarily horrid practice, except it would be nice if sometimes one didn't have to do that to an extreme, or if there were ways to, make that easier. And I'm not suggesting that we take away anxiety medications or anything like that from people with dementia, because people rely on those. But I am thinking that maybe if someone's in a certain state, we could help them calm down.
Yeah, I see. So then is the idea that, it would be like a system that it's listening kind of continuously, kind of like some of these, Siri, where you can say, hey, Siri, and then it's always listening. So once it hears, hey, Siri, then it turns on. Similarly, for something like this, would it be where it's kind of passively listening, and if it starts noticing that there's a little bit of agitation coming, it'll automatically, turn on the phone and then...
Not yet. Not at this moment. We're playing around, like I said, with building two devices, and one of the devices is a watch, which would actually monitor and see if someone was starting to get agitated, and then automatically bring in a call if someone were. The other is more like just a Siri sort of microphone that would sit there and be able to talk to the person, but that's down the road from where we are right now. Where we are right now is we just want to have available a companion to talk to anytime they want to click on the button, and we want to be able to give the family ways to communicate and be there even when they're not. And so that's what we're doing first.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds like there's so many different ways that you could take this.
Yes, there are lots of different ways to take it. And we're trying to start, we really very specifically are trying to start small. We're starting in early stages of dementia because we can get more feedback and we can make sure that our companion is effective. And then we'll start moving along the road toward people who have more memory loss.
Yeah.
And we believe that a lot of the scheduling pieces are really going to help family because it's so hard for people to have someone say, when's the basketball game? When's the basketball game? When's the basketball game? And have to answer the same question over and over again. Or the person feels a lot of anxiety. They don't, it's very common for people when they get into a memory facility to, feel agitated at night, for example. If we schedule calls to come in and they have a conversation and the conversation is preloaded with, hey, let's talk about, this time when you all went to Paris, or let's talk about this book you used to love to read, or, and it's preloaded with that, then that, can help with the person feeling really unsettled in, new environments and things, because they are looking for the familiar, people who have memory loss. And so we want to provide that, but we want to give the family tools to do it. Hey, I go to the park with my son. He's in college, so he's too old. But but I go to the park with my son, and I want to send a quick video to my mom because it's going to make her feel part of my life. And it takes me 2 seconds, and Audria does an intro and an exit, and I don't have to I'm not caught up in, a spinny conversation of any kind, but I am still here, and I am not failing, because a lot of people in caregiver and family situations end up feeling like they're failing their loved ones because it's such a hard thing to do well.
So previously you mentioned telephony. What exactly is that?
So we're not using, because this is where we are at the moment, because a lot of communities, especially once people get into memory care, they actually don't allow people to have phones that work as phones. Because if people have phones that work as phones, then if it were my mom, she would be, she might call me 7 times a day, or she might call me 10 times a day. And so they tend to, if they let them have phones at all, turn off the phone capability. And so we're building our software specifically as software, so that when something comes in and resembles a phone call, it's software. It's not using, it's not actually a phone call, so that people can still take that away. And we have exceptions, so we're still. This is an interesting area for us because, so that's memory care facilities, and not all, but we've heard that from a lot of memory care facilities. But then on the other side of things, what we've heard from families who are trying to take care of their loved ones at home is they absolutely have to have a phone, right? They need to have a phone where they can call in and out. And so we can still put our software on a phone that is a phone. But we haven't decided whether we're going to have 2 different versions of how phone calls are incoming. If one is going to be, for memory care centers, and the other is for families at home.
So would both versions enable someone from the outside to call in?
So, so it's not actually a phone call. It is. It simulates a phone call.
It would just be full simulation for the one that's in the
memory.
communities.
It's probably for everyone, but we'll have to see. So basically, it simulates a phone call at 8 a.m. My phone rings, and it's not really a phone call, but it seems like a phone call, and then it answers automatically, and it says, or not my phone, but maybe it's my, grandparents' phone, and it says, hey, I just wanted to, talk to you about breakfast today or something, but it feels like a phone call.
Okay.
And so for the person who has memory loss, it mimics a phone call at the moment.
Yeah. Is there ever a time where it's actually a phone call, like where maybe the Audria kicks it off to an actual phone call, or someone calls in?
Not at the moment, no. No.
Okay.
I mean, for one thing, if a phone is still used as a phone, then an actual phone call can exist And Audria and doesn't have anything to do with Audria.
There's
and
no point,
If,
yeah.
And if so there's no real point for us to have it kick into that. And we do and are looking at having alerts if we start to see that it seems like someone is really depressed or that they might be about to endanger themselves. But we are still trying. We're trying to get a good threshold for that. So we need some expert input, and so we haven't gotten there yet. But we will eventually have some type of notification that would go to the caregiver/family if Audria or any of the AI started to feel like there was some piece of danger. We just don't want to put it in there in a way that makes it crazy, so that it's always trying to talk to people, because there are more behaviors that maybe wouldn't be considered. I mean, I don't know. We have to find out.
Sounds like there's a lot of new things that you could do. Maybe you'll go one way, maybe you'll go another way. So where are you right now with it?
So where we are right now is we have built out the family platform, and the family platform has the ability to enter in all this family information, enter information about the person with memory loss. It has the ability to add photos, to add memories, specifically, just paragraphs of, oh, this was about this. It has the ability to add specific companions, so a person can put in their own voice. What else does it do? It has, yes, and it has the ability to pair a device. So basically, the platform is paired to a device with a 6-digit code. It's that simple. So someone goes to a URL on a phone or a computer or a tablet, and they enter a 6-digit device. So all of that is built. And the AI companion is built along with transcripts and summaries and some of our insights. All of that is in there. What we have not done yet, and we're hoping that we'll have done in about 3 months, is the calls that are being scheduled. It's more complex, and we have more varieties of calls that we want to have scheduled. So while we test our core click a button and talk to AI companion, we are building out the scheduling functionality. And so that's where we are right now. So we're actively beta testing. We're still looking for additional beta testers. We have 3 more organizations, different types, that are interested in beta testing with us. But our goal is to get to, 100 beta testers, and then get some money because we're fundraising right now as well. But that's where we are. We're going to get this all sorted and done in about 3 months.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so sounds like it's very early stages, and so with these beta testers that you're getting so far, are you ideally reaching out to an entire community, and you want the people in that community to beta test, or do you actually reach out to the individual families within the community?
So both. I'll tell you that it has been more difficult, and it's probably because we haven't been doing a lot of social media marketing. We need to have an intern, but it has been more difficult for us to reach individuals, family members. I wrote to 9 dementia support groups and said, hey, we're beta testing. Would anyone in your family, anyone you're supporting be interested? It's free. I'll do all the setup with them. It's super easy. And I didn't get one response, which is telling.
Well, I think it's like that with a lot of companies that you're starting out. You might reach out to a lot, and maybe it's difficult to get the initial attention.
Yeah, and so I've done a lot of outreach on LinkedIn, and we had, like I said, we went to a group in Denver where some of the people wanted to participate. 2 of the people who wanted to participate ended up in the hospital, so we had to wait until they got out. So there's some things like that. We get people through word of mouth. Our big goal at the moment is we have 2 communities and 1 home health care organization that have all expressed interest in beta testing. So in an ideal world, we would, get about 20 people from each of those places. It's just easier to scale. Although I think that eventually this is going to be a product that people want to use in their homes with their families. And so once we get to the B2C, which is the harder place to get, I think it's going to be a really valuable tool.
Interesting. So how are you getting them so far? Do you just mainly just reach out to the communities and asking?
Yeah. So partially, it's mostly through networking. I go to age tech organizations and, someone will say, oh, this is the most innovative guy, go talk to him. And then I'll reach out to him and say, I hear you're the most innovative person in charge of a community. We want to be your partner. Or I'll talk to someone who will say, hey, we're going to do some beta testing and we're hoping to talk to some people who are experts in this area. And I'll talk to someone who's an expert and she'll say, I have a friend who's head of the, this really big home care group and let me connect you with him. And so it's mostly through networking and connections and LinkedIn where I work pretty hard. Like I said, we should where we are weak and where we should put some more effort if we were bigger and if we had more money, is we should do some social media marketing, because I'm sure that if we had some good campaigns going on Instagram and Facebook and those places, that we would reach more family members. Realistically, this is a very hard area because people are worn out, tired. The memory care facilities don't want to put any more burden on any of their caregivers. They don't have absolute proof that this is going to take some burden off of them. They don't want to make them do something that's going to require too much effort. People who are trying to take care of their loved ones at home are exhausted. And they're, the last thing they want to do is, I'm going to go and talk for, a while and set up a beta test to have someone talk to AI. And people are, it's also an interesting area because, we really want to have an AI that is heartfelt and human and, empathetic in all the right ways. But it's not a person, and we're not trying to replace people. But caring for someone who has memory loss is a very, very, very personal thing, as you would imagine, as you know. I mean, it's your family, so you don't really just kind of like to go, oh, here. It feels crummy in a way to say, I'm going to pass on this and I'm going to let something else take care of it for a while. There's lots and lots of guilt around how well people are taking care of people with memory loss, and it's just hard. And so having AI be the solution in an area that's so personal is one struggle. Having AI be a solution in an area that is healthcare, that is renowned for moving very, very, very slowly, is another problem. So it's an interesting dilemma. We'll get there, I think, because I think we're doing this in a way that is, familiar, heartfelt, unique. I think that people will end up being drawn in because they will feel that the companion that we're creating feels like a companion, and that it actually is soothing, and that the familiar voice is helping, because somewhere in the person's mind it's like, oh, okay, that's a memory, I recognize that. And even the suggestion is that the use of a familiar voice over and over again may make the person whose voice it is more recognizable for a longer period of time. So if we use your voice again and again and again and again and again, your mom might say, oh, it's Luke, even if it's not your actual voice. So
interesting. Yeah.
I go off on my tangents.
We got plenty of time, so okay. This is great. Okay, yeah, very interesting. So what does your team look like so far?
Okay, so our team is very tiny because at the moment we are all, we have no funding. So it's me, I'm the CEO, co-founder, president. We have a master's student who graduated from CU with a degree in computer analytics or analytics. We have an intern who is also a CU student. And then we have 2 engineers who have committed to working 20 hours a week for the next 3 months for equity. and one of them happens to be my son. But don't tell. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. It's fine. Yeah,
We can cut it out, too, if you want.
It's all right.
Okay.
He knows he's working for us, and it's fine. And it's part of being scrappy. And he's very good at what he's very skilled. He's a quant guy, but he's a very skilled programmer, and he's going to help us. At least until we get some funding. And we're talking to a bunch of VCs, and we're talking to. We would love to reach some more angels and things, but we're talking to people, and there's interest. We need to get through, more betas and get more data and things. But yeah, so that's our team. That's it, which means that we're very small.
Sounds like a good team, though. So do you have the version 1.0 of your software ready? Do you have it actually deployed?
Well, we have the version that is just outgoing calls. It's not a sellable version because for us, it's not sellable until we get scheduling in there. And again, scheduling is going to take us about 3 months, I think, to have fully functional and fully tested and have everything working, perfectly. Version, we're very close to an MVP. But to have fully functioning, I think 3 months.
Oh, I see. Okay. Interesting. And so do you want to, I know you said you want it to be device agnostic, so maybe on a phone or a tablet. How do you envision people typically using this?
Well, what we're doing is we're trying to compartmentalize because chasing shiny objects is a company killer, and it's very easy to want to chase shiny objects, and so we're trying not to chase too many shiny objects. We're trying to stay grounded and go, this is what we're doing, and it's not going to be perfect for all of the people who have memory loss, but this is where we're starting. So we're basically starting with a simple interface that someone has to click. So for an outgoing call, someone has to click it. For an incoming call, we hope that we're just going to make it automatically come in and someone will speak. But it's going to be that simple for starters. We want to get to a place where we want to get to a place where we can have a companion that also talks to people who are in later stages of dementia. That comes with a whole separate set of things that we need to solve for. And we are not trying to solve for them right now because we have plenty on our plate just to get a really solid early stage dementia. We also think that this is going to be a great companion for just seniors in general. One of the things that people kept telling us when we were going to memory care facilities is they would say, well, one of the places where people are loneliest in memory care facilities or in senior living is in senior living, not in the memory care facility, because in senior living, they're hiding the fact that they're not remembering things. They don't want to go out into, the cafeteria and talk to people because they recognize that they're not fully remembering so they're hiding out because of that. Or, maybe they have something else going on, Parkinson's, where their speech is not as good as they would like it to be. And so they start, not wanting to talk as much. And so there's a whole area of people who are, we believe, who would love to have a companion, who would love to have someone to talk to, and who may not be in memory care, but may just be seniors who are hiding out or feeling lonely or by themselves. We were even looking at thinking that maybe we could do a beta with Meals on Wheels, right? Because Meals on Wheels is taking food to people's houses, and a lot of the time the reason they're doing that is because there's no one else who can, in their family who can provide. And so if we were to supply them with phones and they could give someone a phone and the person could have a meal and they could talk to someone, something like that would be really nice too. So we think our audience is broader than, just early onset dementia or people with memory loss. We think it's seniors and, maybe even one of the places we're going to do a test is probably in a traumatic brain injury facility, because they're curious to see if, the residents would respond positively to having a companion like this as well. And it'll have to be adjusted because it's going to have different issues that come up. They had the person we were talking to had some very funny things that they said would happen. They were like, well, you're going to get some things that are not what you would expect. And so I don't want to get into that, but anyway. And I'm supposed to call them communities, and I keep trying to call them communities. If I call them facilities, I apologize. Because they are communities, it's just easy to slip into.
Yeah. Okay. I see. I would imagine also if you build out the app and then someone is using the app, if there was another person in there who also could be, who also might have dementia or is in your target market, they might see that one person interacting with it and be like, wow, I want that.
Yeah.
And so it could become kind of like a network effect, or if you get into one community, then you would eventually or quickly even spread through the other ones as well.
Yeah, and I've been trying to, and I need to redouble my efforts, but what we've been trying to do is sell this as an activity, an event, because senior living communities have events that they do, and so I keep saying, hey, we'll come in and we'll do an event and it'll be fun. We'll have someone do their own voice. We'll show you how this works. And then anyone who wants to participate, we'll set them up. And then they can go off, and then we'll come back and we'll bring snacks and we'll get feedback from them. And, it would be fun for them potentially. And we're still thinking that would be a good idea. But I haven't been able to sell it just yet. We did one very small one, as I was pointing out earlier, and we had a few people. It was small, and they were, we have 3 people who are participating, so that's good.
Yeah.
But there are bigger communities who I would think it would be fun, but we'll see.
Awesome. Cool. That makes sense. Okay. So do you actually have active users who are using it right now?
Just beta testers. So yes.
Beta testers.
Which is active users. Yeah. So we have people who are having conversations right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Are you seeing that some people are falling in love with the companion?
Not yet. Not yet. I know people get so attached to companions.
Yeah.
And we have not seen that yet. Our hope is that this will feel warm and friendly, but we're hoping they don't fall in love. But we're hoping that it really does provide, is enriching for their lives. But we haven't seen that yet. We have to be further along. No one's fallen in love that we know of. But they've had funny conversations. People have had, we have this balance between having the AI be able to talk about anything. I want to talk about the Palio and Siena or the multiverse or something like that, and having our companion, not go on and on and on and on and on. So that's one of the things that we're playing with right now. But we haven't found anyone who's in love.
Yeah.
It's a pretty small sample for now.
Yeah. What would even be the proper response if someone said, I love you to like an AI companion like that?
To an AI companion?
Yeah.
It would probably have to just be modified, in which the AI companion, I would imagine, would say, well, I've loved talking to you too. It's been fantastic. And, I really care about the time we get to chat together. It makes me feel happy too. Probably.
Yeah. There's a slight deflection.
Yeah. Or maybe the AI would say, while I can't really, while I don't really have feelings, I have been I have found the conversation enjoyable and rich, and you ask lots of interesting questions, and so maybe you do that. We haven't gotten there yet. We're still more at the basic space of don't let them go take medication, and make sure that things of that nature. Make sure that please don't use the person's name over and over and over, but things of that nature.
Yeah. What are some dangers of AI companions?
Oh, well, there's a lot of dangers with AI companions. It can talk someone into feeling like a god. It can hallucinate. It can, people can think that they're in love with an AI companion. There are plenty of ways that an AI companion can lead someone down a bad road. And we believe that we're building in a way that's going to prevent that from happening. I'm 100% confident we're going to find out that we've missed things, and we're going to have to make adjustments in real time. Oh my gosh, how did that happen, right? But we're building as conscientiously as we possibly can to try and make our AI stay within, a reasonable space. We don't want it to say, oh, you're a god, and this is a great idea, And I think my experience of the companion, of just in general AI has been that it has been improving in terms of being as agreeable as it used to be. I can tell you, I really, really, really wanted to send a couple of sentences to someone. I was frustrated, and I just thought, it would be good if I added these 2 sentences to this email that I was writing, and I was talking to Chad about it. I'm thinking, I just a little uneasy about it. I was just thinking, what would it say back to me? And AI I was using just kept saying, absolutely not. That's not a good idea. You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. So I feel like there's been some improvement in terms of AI responding and not being as, oh, you're going to put yellow in your marketing? That's a great idea. Not just automatically giving the person whatever they say is a great idea, just reinforcing that. I think there's been improvements in that regard. I don't know if you saw someone had interviewed or asked, I think it was Claude, a question about how would you feel about being used to in drones to find areas to bomb people. And Claude's response was, I don't remember exactly, but it was pretty perfect. It was something along the lines of, well, that was not my intended, I wasn't built for that, not my intended use. Don't think that would be, I would feel good about that. I mean, it was very philosophical, but it was pretty interesting response anyway. AI is going to get more and more interesting and probably more and more dangerous in a lot of ways as time progresses.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there are a lot of danger places. We just are taking care of what we can take care of, and we're going to make adjustments as we learn that we've missed something. But we believe that we're putting in, the right prompts, the right guardrails, the right rules for how our companion should act and be, and we're testing it a lot with, like I said, the sort of questions that people with dementia ask and the sort of behaviors that they exhibit. I mean, I think we have 55 at the moment questions that we keep pinging different systems and seeing how they respond and we're doing fuzzy matching because obviously having it be an absolute match isn't that great. And so we're being conscientious. That's the best we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been interesting going off of that point about the Claude. It's been interesting to see more recently about how Anthropic decided that they weren't going to work with the U.S. government.
I know, right?
And so they just turned away billions of dollars and all of this potential future funding just so that they can position themselves as this AI safety company.
I admire that.
Yeah, massive respect for that.
I do. I think, okay, they gained a lot of loyalty in doing something like that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And also, it's the right thing.
Yeah.
So when you talk about what AI should and shouldn't do.
Very, very ironic, too, about how when they said no, a couple hours later, OpenAI said yes to the contract. So yeah, you can kind of see the two different strategies, and you can see, in a way, maybe Anthropic's decision to say no to this in order to place themselves as the AI safety, that could pay off even bigger in the long run.
Yes, I agree.
But
I don't think it was done, in that much, in a way that was calculated to pay off in the long run. I like to believe, and I fall into being naive a lot, or that it was done because it was the right thing, much as I do think it'll pay off, and I do think it was probably strategically intelligent, but I still like to believe that it was done because it was the right thing to do. I don't know.
I agree. I think that the main reason is Anthropic's positioning as being an AI for safety, and trying to do super intelligence in a safe way, and so, but even then they are a business, and I do think that although they did this with the point of following the ethics, I think that this could position themselves where it actually does have a payoff, and it could be better for them in the future.
I hope so, and I believe so. Actually, I think that it will, because I think it was such a good, bold move. But yeah, it's just, AI there can be used in such good ways and such bad ways.
So, what do people misunderstand about dementia?
Dementia is a broad category. Alzheimer's is a subcategory of dementia. There are lots of different types of dementias. The thing, and I'm no expert, like I said, in terms of, you could ask a million people who are much more, who know a lot more about dementia than I do. My feeling, at least from the perspective of Audria, our belief in terms of what people might not understand about dementia is you get a dementia, it's not it doesn't mean your life is over. It doesn't mean that you can't write a mystery. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have good years left. It doesn't mean that you have to just give up and call it quits. And also, we really believe that there are respectful ways to hear people who have memory loss, and in the same way that there are respectful ways to help people if they have some other sort of a debilitating problem, if they're having trouble walking. I mean, but so we're trying to reach people where they are. Our tagline is "I hear you," and we believe that we're trying really hard to hear them, and their families are trying to hear them, and we're trying to come up with tools to hear them. But we want to do that and respectfully. And so I think the biggest thing that we would like to change is for people feeling like people who have memory loss, that's it, they're done, there's nothing there. Mm-hmm. There's a lot there still, and old memories and things like that, a lot of that is still there.
What makes an AI companion different from a chatbot?
Well, what makes an AI, the prompts, the information that is being provided to the companion about the person that they're talking with. My son can't stand it that I call them guardrails, but the rules that we are giving the companion, that we are trying to inject some emotional intelligence into some of those rules, so that it's because chatbots. So I guess it's the information and the guardrails and the knowledge base and the information about the person that they're talking to and the pacing and the voices and all of that makes it different. Mm-hmm. We're working not to make it sound mechanical, and we're trying to give prompts and directions and rules that send the companion down a road that's more companion-like and actually is like story and memory and family and, full of things that are more human.
Cool, that makes sense. And for the AI voices, are you using 11 Labs?
So we have, so yes and no. Yes. We are creating the voices inside 11 Labs, and then we're pulling the voices outside of 11 Labs so that we're holding them in our space so that they're not shared there. Our original Audria voice was not created in 11 Labs. It was created in a different tool that I want to say was called Lemon Slice, but is that right? Lemon?
I'm not sure.
Lemon something. Anyway, we are using 11 Labs predominantly for our text-to-speech, but we also have our AI sitting inside 11 Labs right now. We have our knowledge base separate in our own database, and we have all of our stored transcripts separate in our own database. So the information that you're asking, technical question, the information that we, our whole system sits outside of 11 Labs and uses 11 Labs as a tool, essentially.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
For the database, maybe this is even more technical. Are you using like a vector database?
Yes.
Cool.
We are, I can tell you, yeah. And so, yes, we are using a vector database, and we are doing, for certain types of information, we're grabbing information from our database that's specific to the question that's asked. So we have different levels of information. If I were to bring up, if the AI were to say, oh, what year did you go to Italy? That's not going to be part of our basic prompt. It's not going to be part of our knowledge base of rules, but it might be part of the memories that exist. It might be part of another piece of our database. So what it will do, if it doesn't know what year I went to Italy, it'll access our database and it'll go, Italy, is there anything? And then it'll come back and say, oh, you went to Italy and whatever year it was. And so, and if nothing is found over here, our hope is, the way we would like this to be built is then it will say, oh, Heidi is really interested in what year she went to Italy. And that will be at the top of the family dashboard. And someone will step in and they'll say, oh, memory, Heidi went to Italy in such and such a year.
Cool. Very interesting. And so for your background, it sounds like you also have this background in working with startups before as well.
Yes.
Cool. What was that like?
I got a master's degree in English. I thought I was going to write the great American novel like so many people, and I was waiting tables forever and ever and ever, working on writing to some degree, and also, yes, enjoying waiting tables for a while. And I got a nerve virus over my right shoulder that made me lose the use of my right arm.
Wow.
I got it back, so it's okay. But I couldn't. I immediately had to find something else to do because I couldn't wait tables. Couldn't. No one wants to wait tables for very long, so it's perfectly good to do. So I saw an article that was written in the newspaper. A professor from CU had started what would be considered a digital agency, and he was looking, and wasn't even looking for help. And so I wrote him a note and said, I think you need to hire me because I'm very creative and I can write and I can do all these things. And he did. And there were only 5 people in the company. It was called Digital Creators. It ended up being acquired by Teletech, sorry. It was a massive learning experience because we had, 2 designers, 1 video person, an engineer, and me. And so I was doing lots of creative work, figuring out how to, create interactive simulations. And, we won a bunch of awards. It was a great experience. And then I went on to do many, many, many more. After that, I worked at a healthcare company that was called eVitro, but that was merged in with Tenet Healthcare. We did hundreds of hours of healthcare training, and I went from up to executive level positions very quickly and sort of stayed there. Worked at a company called Community Initiatives, which was really a group of people who had been working on workforce engagement sort of issues, and they were really consultants, and they needed someone who had more of a tech background, which at that point I had more of than they did, and because they were trying to figure out ways to measure workforce engagement that weren't just going into the hospitals and doing these kind of in-person consultant things. And we merged with a company called QDM, Quality Data Management, that had created a what they like to call a compass, where they were looking at all sorts of clinical outcomes as well as workforce engagement, and to see how those things related to one another. And then I worked at a company where we were one of the earlier creators of online travel tools called Home and Abroad, where I actually worked with Ray. I had introduced him to the CEO of the company. And we created a travel itinerary generator, which had all sorts of cool features, where activities for kids for specific places that you went, and some of the things that are more regular today, but we were really early on, and people like Expedia and lots of others wanted to use us. We ended up selling everything that we created and moving on from there. And then I worked, did a lot of contract work of my own. I ended up doing a course for Wendy's franchise owners, which was very technical and had a lot to do with could they do the money things correctly and whatnot. And then I worked for 5.5 years I'm skipping a lot of things, at a place called Dignify, which is a fintech that gives people loans to repair their cars. And the focus was, when I came on, trying to give people who normally aren't given loans. So we were trying to, hit the people or not find the people who wouldn't normally be given money and who are in a desperate situation because cars are so essential to work and to childcare and to school and all of those. So trying to give them not predatory loans that would allow them to, repair their cars. And then after that, I jumped out of that and did a bunch of fun AI stuff where I created some of my own brands and cookbooks and things like that. But I've done pretty much my whole career has been in different tech startups, and I probably missed some along the way. But
yeah, did you say you also worked with Techstars?
I did not work with Techstars.
Okay.
No.
I think I was remembering you say tech startups instead of Techstars. Yeah.
Techstars. Nope, I didn't work with Techstars. We looked into thinking. Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we did. I have not done that.
Have you considered a startup accelerator program?
We have applied to some of the big ones, like Y Combinator, which is really hard to get into, and we've probably applied to a handful or so, and so far no one's picked us up. I don't think we would do Techstars at this point. I feel like we are quite far down the road toward developing our base product. And if we can get there in 2 to 3 months with our 2 programmers part-time, which we probably can, then, and because we have so much experience building businesses from the startup and building products from the startup, from the ground up, I should say, not the start, from the ground up, because we have so many years of experience together having done that, we know where our gaps are and we know where we would want to, where we would need some of that help. We would never turn down an accelerator if they wanted to, sign us up. But I think we can do it the way we're doing it probably. And with just 2 of us who are really handling all of this type of stuff, I started to find it started to feel like a distraction, and it felt like my time was better spent making relationships with communities and home care providers and working on the beta test and making sure that our product was super well defined and those sorts of things. Mm-hmm. We will need to get a fractional. We have a fractional CTO, by the way. Did I mention him? He's done a bunch of AI stuff. He has a Stanford PhD, super smart guy. He's part of our team. I forgot him. Sorry, that was not good.
How did you meet that fractional CTO?
Early on, we presented at both Boulder Startup Week, actually that would be a year ago, and also at RMAG, which is a Rocky Mountain AI Interest Group. At the Rocky Mountain AI Interest Group, there was a competition in which they were looking for the top 3 new companies that were doing something in AI, and then they would present. And so we were voted within the top 3. They had it was great. There were over 30 people, over 30 companies. So we presented about Audria there, and after we presented, Kevin, who's our fractional CTO, came up to me and he said, "We should have a coffee." Might have said a beer, but one of those. And so that's how we met him. And he, so many people, it's not 6 degrees of separation for people who know someone with dementia or who have personal experience. It's everyone.
Yeah.
And so, you talk to anyone and they are like, "Oh, well, we have a friend who just passed, or or my mom, or my stepmom." I mean, it's everywhere. There are 55 million people worldwide with dementia right now, almost 7 million in the U.S., and they're expecting that to double by 2050, which is a very sad state of affairs, but yeah, it means a lot of people become interested. We just did a presentation for a VC who had seen me do a little demo at a CEO dinner event, and we're not even in his lane or tranche for VC investing, but his mother has dementia, and he heard me do this, and so he reached out and had us do a demo, and he's like, "Okay, now we're going to have the person who is in this area and does invest in companies like yours talk to you." So we get a lot of connections from people who feel strongly about what we're doing. And we had the same experience at Boulder Startup Week, too, is that a lot of people were coming through, and they did a competition, and we would have been in the top 3, except that my except that it was pouring rain, and I gave all of our tickets to someone who I won't name, and that person did not get give the tickets to the organizer, but we would have come in third.
I see. Okay, so what does your day-to-day look like now?
My day-to-day is, that's a good question. My day-to-day is pretty hectic. And it varies a lot. I usually have a couple meetings every day. I am always working to improve various pieces of collateral that we have. We do lots of decks. I've been currently working on coming up with a better outreach specifically for senior communities that is either that I can go drive around and hopefully get some people to beta test. That way, I have been refining the questions that we have for our beta test because at the moment I have 4 different surveys that we've been using, and I think we want to narrow that down. I think some questions that we don't have we need to add in, other questions we should take out. We want to allow for a huge breadth of information, but we don't necessarily want to require it. So I fill in all the gaps. I do a lot of outreach on LinkedIn. I do a lot of discussion about what needs fixing. It is one of the things I have always liked about startups, which I'm learning my lesson, is that you don't get put in a box, right? So, first job, people are saying to you, oh, go do that spreadsheet, or go write that proposal for how you're going to work with that, or go write that letter of intent. You've never done it before. But it's always interesting, right? Because you get to do a million things that you either haven't done in a long time or that you might not be your area of expertise, but it's always fun to give it a shot.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of marketing materials, which might not be my top. Writing very directed letters of intent and trying to find new partners and doing demos upon demos and setting people up. And it's the good thing about it is it's a lot of different things. And the bad thing about it is I often find myself at 8 o'clock in the evening still doing stuff. Like, and sometimes that makes me not do it as well as I should,
Yeah.
But the balancing is not yet what I've succeeded in doing well.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I think we're at time now. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.